Mr. Rob Brown. Yes, that's more a ripple of indifference, isn't it, than a round of applause, but I'm really glad that you're here, because the action is going to be in here just for the next 20-25 minutes, as we're going to make you absolutely irresistible. So, there's lots of Roberts in the world. I am a famous Robert. How many of those might you name? What do you think? Who's this one? Very good, Bob Dylan. This one? Robert Smith. A few people in my quiz team. Who's this? Robert Plant. Oh, you know the lot. That's the one you're after. Not as good looking as some of the rest. Besides, these three don't even exist. George, did Robin Hood exist? He lives near your house, doesn't he? Yeah, I think he's still around. But the rest fictitious. But that's the one you're after today. That's the one you've got. And that's where I live. Born and bred in Yorkshire, but I migrated to the East Midlands, and I live in West Bridgford, so it's lovely to be with some local people. And that's my wife, but only because this woman won't return my calls. That's my family, which really means I'm one of those. If you've got children, you will understand. And that's the book, what I wrote, How to Build Your Reputation. That's good old Digby Jones giving me an endorsement. And I run the Global Networking Council, which is a collection of all the best people in the world to help you network better and sell yourself. So that's the organization I run, and I do this radio show, The Networking Giants. So I interview top people in the world on getting you more liked and more trusted and more networked. And apparently, I didn't realize this, but I'm the most recommended person in the world on LinkedIn for networking. So that's good networking, isn't it? So we're going to do today how to make more people like you more quickly. And what we're talking about here is what we call the likability gap, which is the gap between people doing what you want them to do because they have to, and people doing what you want them to do because they want to. Do you want people to do your stuff under duress, or do you want them to do it because they like you and they love you? Well, hopefully it's the latter. And believe it or not, you can get more people to like you more quickly by doing and saying certain things. And we're going to examine that today, because it's going to make you much better networkers, build much better relationships, and win a lot more business. So we're going to have some random opportunities for laughter. I don't know if that was your car this morning. I don't know where you've come from. But imagine leaving your windows open when the snow's coming down. So ROL is a random opportunity for a smile or a bit of a laughter. And if you want any of these things, so the audio recording of this presentation, if you want this, you know, some of you are making notes, but there's going to be some good stuff in here. So if you want this, and also the key slides that I'm showing today, if you want that as well. And also I've got a little checklist that I've done on 21 tips to make you more likable. If you want that as well, just so you don't have to take loads of notes, I'm going to show you how to get that. But for now, just sit back, get your popcorn, enjoy the show. We are rolling with five ways to make you more likable. Now, the problem is for me that there's too many people out there doing what you do. You've got a lot of competition. You've got a lot of rivals. It's crowded. You know it's crowded when you jump in the swimming pool and you don't hit the water. Welcome, ladies. We've just been talking about our most embarrassing experiences. We've all shared ours. There's just you three left. Here, you've got 25 minutes. This is it right now, isn't it? This is your, okay. I'll not draw any more attention to you. So business is crowded. There's loads of people out there that do what you do. How are we going to get an edge? Let me just ask you, would you give me a show of hands, folks? Are you good at what you do? Would you put your hand up if you're good at what you do? Okay, a couple of people not quite sure if they're good at what they do. A couple of people looking next to them and saying, am I good at what I do? What do you think? Of course we're good at what we do. And that's part of the problem. Everyone out there and everyone in here is good at what they do. So how do customers and clients and prospects choose between a number of, in their eyes, equal providers, suppliers, advisors that are good at what they do? You see, being good at what you do is a ticket to the game. It gets you in. We need something more than that now. Something, and the solution for me is something that gives you a competitive advantage. It's hard to throw more value into your proposition because that costs you more as well. What if the answer was something as simple as being more likable? What if the difference between getting you hired and losing out on that pitch, that proposal at 10? And what if the difference was you, them liking you a bit more? What if that's all it was? If that's all it was, and you know that you can do something about that, that gives you a competitive advantage. Let's explore this a bit more. This is the likability carousel. Let's stick you right in the middle there. And let's think about what happens when you build relationships. First off, people have got to know you. They won't buy you if they don't know you. The problem is that a lot of us are the best kept secret in the world. You've told us that you're brilliant, but if nobody knows you, it's like you getting a market stall and putting it in the desert. There's nobody going to see it. So you being here is great because you're raising your profile and you're getting known. Once you're known, what's next? Well, people have got to like you. People will decide in the first 90 seconds whether or not they like you. Isn't that interesting? Even on a subconscious level, you might not even know if somebody likes you. But you're making decisions like that. Once they like you, that forms a foundation for trust. It's very rare that you'll trust somebody you don't like. And the interesting thing is, the more you like people, the more you trust them. We're going to talk through the benefits of being liked in a moment, but that is the biggest one. And when people trust you, they will buy from you. When you're trusted, you get bought. And when you get bought, the best thing is you get recommended. And the more recommended you get, the more you get known. And the more you get known, the more chance you have to get liked, and it goes round and round and round. The blockage, when you go to networking events and you don't seem to create the opportunities you want, where you do the marketing and you do the pitches and it doesn't seem to land for you, the blockage is often being liked. Because that's what stops everything else. But we don't think about it a lot. We just think if we do a good job, people will choose us. It's not the case. There's lots of people doing a good job. So we need to give people an extra reason to choose us. And I'm putting to you right now that the best reason you can give people to choose you is because they like you. Let's unpack this a bit more. We're good at being liked. As a baby, no one says, gorgeous baby, but I don't like them very much. We're very likable as a kid, but we love being liked. Even when we're old and grey, we love being liked. It's nice to be liked. Everybody wants a bit of love. You're good at what you do. You work really hard. You're not a slacker. You deserve to be liked. There's a lovely smile there. Smiles are great. We love liking people. We were born to be around other people and get on with them. I said to a guy as I came in this morning, oh, it's a bit chilly, isn't it? And he looked at me like I was an alien. And I thought, what is wrong with you? Problem's not me. Definition, just so as you know what likability is, that's what I found in the Webster's English Dictionary. You're easy to like. If you're likable, you're easy to like. You're attractive, you're appealing, you induce favour. People want to do stuff for you because they want to do it, not because they have to do it. All of these words come up with likable. Would you want to be seen as a lot of those things? They are positive characteristics, aren't they? Just to warm you up a little bit, I know you look warm, you're great, you're engaged, you're looking at me like, how can I be more likable? That's great. Can you just, we'll wait for that. We'll do a compliment in a minute. So this is the likability pyramid. There's being known. If 100 people know you, do you think all 100 will like you? Yeah? Who said yeah? That's very confident, that. It's not true. If 100 people know you, not all 100 will like you. Problem's often with them. Some people won't like you because you've got a tie on. Some people will hate you because you haven't got a tie on. It's crazy. It's not your fault, but it is a pyramid. There are less people. So if 100 people liked you, do you think 100 people have trusted you? If 100 people like you, will 100 people trust you? No, and that's not your fault. Some people have trust issues. Never trust anyone but myself. Look after number one. The top level is this little bit at the top of the pyramid. And here, people will go to prison for you. People would die for you. That's how liked and loved you are. There's a small number of people that would die for you or go to prison for you. I judge this in a little more drastic way. Is there anyone you could think of that you could call up at 2 o'clock in the morning for whatever reason and not get shouted at? If you've got someone like that, they really like you. They really like you. But it goes the other way. This is being unknown. This is a bad thing as well. Being unknown means you're anonymous. Disliked is the inverse of being liked. Here, you're going to get people that will sabotage your life or say bad things about you. Now, hated is even stronger. These are people that will go out of their way to rubbish your reputation. Welcome. We've just been talking about how to make an impact when you walk into a room. You've just done that really, really well. These people at the bottom, these are people that would go to prison to kill you. These are people that would want you dead. So success in life comes from getting all of this stuff at the top going on and avoiding as much of this as you can. So we're going to show you how to do that. Just a bit of scientific evidence on this. These established academic places say that 20 to 40% of your performance is dictated by the quality of your relationships. Isn't that interesting? And if you want better relationships, we need to get on with people. We need to be more likable. Some of the benefits of being likable, I'm going to show you 6 areas of your life where being likable is going to give you a competitive advantage. The first off is in your career. The research tells us that people that are likable get the jobs. They get the promotions. They get hired. They get moved up. They get the interesting projects. A bunch of CVs is a bunch of CVs. When Mike Jones comes up to talk to you about BT and broadband and everything else later, it's going to be a terrific talk. He might tell you the story. No, he probably won't because it's nothing to do with broadband. But he told me the story of his son that now works for the Arrows Formula One racing team because, not just because he's brilliant, but because he's likable as well. A certain amount of competency will get you so far, but being likable on top of that will break open a whole load of career opportunities. The next area is you. You will get more business, you will win more referrals, you will get more engagement. People will haggle with you less. People will pay premium price if you are more likable. What about family? The research tells us that the people that are likable are 50% less likely to get divorced. If you've got 2 partners that are likable, there's another 50% less likely to get divorced. You'll stay together because you're easygoing and you get along. You'll bring up positive, likable children. If you've got one person that's likable and one person that's grumpy, you've got a problem. What about you as an individual? If you go to the doctors, if you are more likable, you will be seen for longer, you will be given better treatment. That's what the research says. If you go and talk about your kids at parents' evening at school, you will get a better response from the teacher if you are more likable. If you're complaining to somebody on the phone, the research tells us you will get a better response if you are likable. 2 more. If you're an employer, you will get the best staff to put in that discretionary effort for you. Doing stuff because they want to, not because they have to. If you are a likable boss. And finally, if you are an employee, you will get the best perks, the best fast track on your career, the best and most interesting projects, the least horrible jobs, if you are likable. So the benefits are massive of being liked. We've made the argument. Let's tell you now how it works. There are 4 real laws of likability. The first law is that it's coachable. We can coach you to be more likable. Now, I know you're really, really likable. You're lovely people. But on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being Adolf Hitler, Darth Vader, anyone else you really, really hate, you know, the evil people, and 10 being, I don't know, Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, you know, people that are loved by everyone, pretty much. Where are you? The people that really struggle in life are 1, 2s and 3s. Most people are in the 4s, 5s, 6s and 7s. Very few people are 8s, 9s and 10s. So if it's coachable, everybody in the room could be more likable. Is that fair? Absolutely, particularly when we know what to do and say to be more likable. And that's what I'm going to share with you. The next thing is it's not a quick fix. To make you more likable, sometimes you've got to undo lots of habits that you've built up over years. Things that annoy you, things that upset you, things that make you grumpy, things that you don't like about people. You're going to have to change stuff yourself. And we can't make you into some magnetic, likable personality overnight. But if you're into it not being a quick fix, you can do it. Third is it's reversible. You can be liked, and then you can lose popularity. And then you can be liked again. I'll give you an example. David Beckham was a terrific brand. He got himself sent off in a World Cup final game against Argentina, and the whole country turned against him. Do you remember he did that little kick when he was on the floor? If you remember football, and everyone hated him, and around the grounds he got booed. And now his brand is back on track. And there are lots of stories like that of people that have risen and fallen and risen again. So this is reversible. You can get it right, you can get it wrong, you can put it back right again. So there is hope for you really grumpy, miserable people. Maybe there's not hope for this guy. I once saw a personal ad. You know when you're looking for romance? And he said, miserable git seeks similar for mutual despondency. I don't know if there's much hope for somebody like that, but at least he's being honest. The fourth law of likability is that it's situational. Can you see how you could be disliked at work but loved in your family? Can you see how you could be loved at work but your family hate you? No? You could see how that might happen. It depends on the situation you're in and the people you're around as to how likable you can be. What we're trying to do is make you likable in all situations by getting you sorted. If we can make you more likable, the rest of the world, it's up to them. Okay, so let's go with these 5 ways to make you more likable more quickly. Are we ready for this? No? Not bothered? Should we all just retire to the pub for a while? Anybody want to be more liked? Anyone? Anyone interested? Yeah? Okay. Do you want to come and have a seat, folks? We've got 15 minutes left teaching you to be more likable. We won't embarrass you at all. Oh, straight to the front. That's great. That's it. That shirt's going to get you more likable. That's terrific. Okay, here we go. Number 1. Encourage people more. Encourage people more. People love being around people that make them feel good. Would you agree with that? So what are some of the simple ways we can make people feel good? Well, buttering people up. Let me read this out. Remember, man doesn't live on bread alone. Sometimes he needs a little buttering up. We've got an opportunity to make people feel great. Giving them a compliment. When was the last time you said to someone, you have a great bum? Oh, George, have you been working out? You should be a model. Now, I'm not saying you go around saying this to people. You probably get arrested. But giving people a compliment is a great idea to get yourself more liked. So one of the things I say to my team and people in my business is this. Can I tell you something I really like about you? Now, you've got to say something after that, else it doesn't work. Because if they say, no, tell me. And you say, well, I don't know, some guy told me to say it. He said it was a really good idea. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. So it's a great phrase. Can I tell you something I really like about you? Well, what's that? Well, you're really good at keeping in touch. I really like that about you. You keep connected all the time. That's brilliant. Giving people compliments makes you more likable. Here's another one. Can I tell you something you're really good at? If you could find one person to say that to every single day, I promise you, your popularity would go through the roof. But it's just doing it intentionally. So we're going to practice this now. We're going to practice this now. Can you just turn to someone close to you and say, I can't believe how good looking you are. Come on, let's try it. I can't believe how good looking you are. Go on. You at the back as well. I can't believe how good looking you are. Go and tell someone. Tell a stranger. Okay, now we're making friends, aren't we? Now we're making friends. It's the usual story. All the fellas are looking for a woman. Especially on Valentine's Day. You always get a couple of guys together and one guy says, right, you say it first. I'm not saying it, you say it first. What about this simple one? I really like your. It's a really simple compliment to make. I really like your shirt. I really like your business card. I really like your stand. I really like your brochure. I really like the speech you just did. I really like what you did there. It's a really simple compliment. You pepper your days with stuff like that, you will become more likable. They did an experiment where they got a guy, an actor it was, to go into an office, and his job was to sell people raffle tickets. And he had 2 audiences on 2 different weeks, similar audiences. The first, he just sold the tickets. He didn't know them very well. He had a week to make friends, and he sold a certain amount. In the next week, he would do some little random acts of kindness. He'd go to the coffee machine and he'd bring back a coffee for someone in a random way. He'd go to the Coke machine. He said, I'll bring you back a Coke. I thought you might want one. He sold 3 times the number of raffle tickets to those people just because he was nice. So complimenting people is a great way to get yourself more liked. The second way is to care less. Now, you might think that's a little bit odd, but what are the things that put us in a bad mood? It's the stuff that annoys us. So what we've got to do is lighten up, because nobody likes uptight people. Have you ever talked to someone and you're treading on eggshells? You don't know quite what to say because you feel that you might upset them. These people are hard to like because you don't know the right thing to do and say. So for your part, if you can get less annoyed and care less about stuff, you've got a chance of being more liked. I love this quote. I would like to apologize to anyone I have not offended. Please be patient, I'll get to you shortly. We do offend a lot of people, but the less people you offend, the more likable you are. I'm just going to give you folks 30 seconds to share with somebody next to you the one thing that annoys you the most. Go on, 30 seconds. Get it off your chest. Fess up. What annoys you the most? What really, really gets your goat? What puts you in a bad mood? Okay, now that you've got that off your chest, here's the good news. Here's the good news. There are only 10 nasty people in the world. There are only 10 really horrible, boring, grumpy, really nasty people in the world. There's only 10 of them. Now, they move around a lot. We've probably got 7 of them in this room. They get around a lot. But as long as you're not one of those 10, if you could care a bit less, get a little bit less annoyed, be a little bit more easygoing, all the research says people will like you more. Here's the third one. This is the verb to better people, to make people better when you're around them, to make people feel good when you're around them, to leave people in a better place having talked to you. Are you that kind of person? Do you make people feel better from being around you? Let's have a look at this scientifically. People can be happy, people can be just okay, and people can be unhappy. Is that fair? There's really 3 mood states we can be in. Now, if you meet somebody here, can you make them better than they were when they left you, when they arrived? If they're just okay, can you make them more happy? If they're pretty miserable, can you move them up? What is it like interacting with you? Do you leave people in a better place? If they're just okay or unhappy, do you leave them the same? If they're miserable when they got to you and miserable when they leave, you've not really had a positive effect. Or when people meet you, do they start here and finish up here? Do people want to slit their wrists after spending 2 minutes with you? You're not really likable, are you? You've got a little bit of work to do. So our job is to move people up, to better them. What is a conversation with you like? Do you leave people in a better place? Are they glad they've come to your stand and had a chat to you? Are they glad they've had 2 minutes with you? Or do they instantly forget you and you leave them in the same place? If we can think about this stuff intentionally, we've got a chance to be more likable. The next thing, we find that the people that are very likable in life are very thankful. They're very grateful for what they've got. Too many people in life, they're glass half empty. Oh, it's all right for my competitors. They're older than me. They're younger than me. They're in a better location. They've got better staff. And we're blaming. You've got to want to be you. And one of the most irresistible, attractive things about people is you are happy in your own skin. You enjoy being you. And you're thankful for what you've got. I'll give you an example. There is a speaker out there. He's a good speaker. Not as good as me, obviously, but he's a good speaker. But he earns probably 5 times as much money as me. And you might think, well, I've thought in the past, actually, I've been guilty of this. I've been jealous. I wished I had what we had. But the thing is, when we compare ourselves to people, we've got to compare all of us with all of them. Don't be jealous of one aspect of people's lives, because this guy I'm talking about, he's got 3 different children by 3 different marriages. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong in itself, but his life must be a logistical nightmare. You might see someone up there doing some brilliant stuff, having a great life, but you dig under the surface. Would you trade what you've got with what they've got in its entirety? You've got to want to be you. You've got to be thankful for what you've got. You've got to be glad. What are you glad for? Why is it great being you? And when you are more thankful for what you've got, you are more likable because you're good to be around. So maybe today's a wake-up call to be a little more thankful for the stuff that you've got. Let's move on. The last one is to be happier, to laugh more. I'm going to make you laugh in a minute by showing you a little video of how not to network. When we smile, we're good fun to be around. When we laugh and we're joyful, and I'm not saying life's an absolute party, there are tough days. But being thankful and finding something to smile about and laugh about puts you in a good mood. Have a little look at this 2-minute video on how not to network, and I'll be looking later for you out there and seeing how you're doing. There's a thin difference between success and failure. Why does somebody get that deal and somebody doesn't when both bids were exactly the same? The difference is you being likable. And after this, you're hopefully starting to do it a bit more intentionally. If you can get liked, you've got a chance. Now, I said to you at the beginning, if you like this, if you want some tips on being likable, I promised I'd share with you the audio recording of this and the 21 tips to be more likable and these slides. So if you want that, find me on LinkedIn and do me a recommendation. Or we've got a Facebook group called the Global Networking Council where I share stuff like this. And just pop on Facebook, join the group, and I'll share this stuff with you for free. If you don't want it, that's okay. You won't want to do all of that stuff too. But I'm trying to give you a little bit of education which makes you armed and dangerous and magnetic and attractive out there so that people choose you. Because a lot of the time, everybody looks the same. You need a competitive edge. Let's finish with a random opportunity for laughter. Isn't that clever? That someone would think to do that with an apple. Here's a few quotes that, let me make you wait for it. We're finishing with a few quotes that men and women have said stupidly that will hopefully make you smile. I want to leave you here with a smile and a laugh, and I hope that you have a great day. So, Mark Draper. I'd like to play for an Italian club like Barcelona. You couldn't make it up, could you? Sheedy now scored 11 goals, which is exactly double the number he scored last season. Obviously not an accountant, John Motson. Did your great-grandfather have any children? Classic from Fern Britain. We'll have more football later. Meanwhile, here are highlights from the Scottish Cup final. Apologies to any Scottish people in the audience. Baseball is 90% mental, the other half is physical. Of course it is, you knew that, right? And there he is, the world's most famous footballer, Michael Beckham. Bless their little cotton socks. 4th spot is what we're aiming for. We don't want to be second best. Well done, Phil Neville. If you don't believe you can win, there's no point getting out of bed at the end of the day. And in the days of the football match, Manchester City and Norwich drew love all. Women, don't you love them? We're not as good as we think we are. We need to go out and prove that. You notice there's a lot of footballers here, isn't there? I've had 14 bookings this season, 8 of which were my fault, but 7 of which were disputable. I'm surprised he knows that word, actually. Can you see the carrot at the end of the tunnel? It's all about the 2 M's, movement and positioning. Somebody have a word, eh? Somebody have a word. The hockey team's down to 10 men. They'll probably win. 50% of West Ham fans want Avram Grant sacked and the other half want him to stay. Or is it the other way around? When you laugh, you learn. When you're having... I couldn't settle in Italy. It was like living in a foreign country. Poor Ian Rush. You've got to feel for him. These poor eggs. They know what's coming. I really want to thank you for listening and watching. I hope it's been a good, fun start to your day. I hope you are more likeable going out of this room, not just for today, but beyond. Go out there and smile and send some compliments out there. And I hope by the end of the day, you are the most likeable person in the room. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.